With so many players making their college decision this summer, we started to reset the board. Let's look at some of the top uncommitted prospects in Southern California. We just heard Aydin Breland and his process. Brandon Baker, the #1 rated offensive tackle, is also still on the board. And to go more in depth with some of these players that are uncommitted out west, the best of the West, it is Greg Biggins, national recruiting analyst at 24/7 Sports. Greg, let's begin with DeAndre Carter. That's one of the names that we saw on that list there. About 30 scholarship offers. And while we talk a lot about his five-star teammates over at Mater Dei, he's got a very interesting recruiting process as well. What's the latest with DeAndre Carter?
Yeah, so he took three official trips in June. Auburn, Michigan State, Texas. Don't remember that exact order of that, but I did ask him recently about actually 10 minutes ago. I said, DeAndre, not saying who's your favorite, just what was your favorite official trip? He said it was probably Auburn. That it was close, but it's probably Auburn right now. Again, that's not favorite school. That was just his favorite official trip. I don't want to lead anybody on out there, but time frame wise, making a decision. I think he said probably sometime maybe late summer. At one point, it was going to be during the season, early to mid, but I think he might push it forward a little bit and might make it end of summer, which would be sometime in August. So those are the three schools I think he likes a lot, liked all three trips. I'm a fan of DeAndre Carter. Actually plays left tackle, that coveted left tackle spot for Mater Dei. Brandon Baker is the right side. I think he's a guard at the next level. I think he's going to be a very good guard at the next level as well, Blair. I'm a fan.
That's a huge thing, right? To see a player that maybe projects on the interior be able to have the feet and the mobility to play left tackle, and you have to do that at Mater Dei, which does a lot of different things. They've got a big time quarterback, a couple big time running backs, some receivers that like to catch the ball, and he can really get to the second level and put defenders on their back. One player that he's going to be aiming for this fall, Kyngstonn Viliamu-Asa, Greg, he's set to announce his decision very soon on July 23rd. He is down to three schools: Ohio State, Notre Dame, and USC. He has taken official visits to all three. How are you feeling about this recruitment with 2 weeks away?
You know, we overuse the term probably fluid when it comes to recruiting, but I think his recruitment has been a really fluid one. And he even used the word recency bias because every trip he took in order, it was USC, Notre Dame, Ohio State. After every one of those visits, I think he was kind of probably leaning toward that school. So right now, I think he's still trying to figure it all out. You know, he's a very devout kid, a very spiritually driven kid. He's got a retreat that he's going to go to with his youth group next week. Well, he said that's the time for him to kind of lock in. Just him and the big man upstairs gonna lock it in, figure out what he wants to do. If I were to like maybe take a wild guess, I think Ohio State might have the most buzz with him right now. But again, it would not shock me if he chose Notre Dame or USC. He loves unique things about each of those three programs. USC close to home, loves that staff, very close to his family. Notre Dame loves that combination of academics and football. Then Ohio State was a school that I actually thought was leading going into these trips. He's been there 5 or 6 times. Loves the linebacker coach, loves the head coach, Ryan Day. That's the school I think that's been on him the longest, ironically. His first offer, in fact, he was the first guy Ohio State offered when he was a freshman, back when he was obviously when he was a freshman, the first guy the Buckeyes offered. So they've been on him for a long time, and he likes them all quite a bit. So I'm kind of curious myself, Blair, what he's going to do.
Some recent history for Ohio State over at St. John Bosco as well, including Wyatt Davis, who they turned into an NFL draft selection a couple years ago. And Kingston is the top-rated linebacker in the state of California. One player he's going to be chasing in the fall, maybe one time, maybe twice, if Mater Dei and St. John Bosco meet on the field, is Nate Frazier. He's one of the best running backs still on the board. He has Alabama, Oregon, A&M, and Georgia all swinging for his signature. What's on the horizon for Nate Frazier as the summer continues, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, nice job with these little segues, Blair. You had DeAndre Carter blocking Kingston. Now he's chasing Nate Frazier. I've always gotten a Georgia vibe from Frazier. Loved his trip to Bama. Had a great trip to Oregon. I think it's those three schools. And I don't want to discount A&M. That was another huge trip for him. But you know, just from you talk to him. I'm not trying to sound like some kind of attorney, but you kind of look for things like voice inflection, and you know, maybe the kid gets a little more excited. Maybe he talks a little bit more about a school than others. And a lot of times that ends up being the school that the player chooses. Whenever I talked about Nate, we kind of ran down his favorite schools. Georgia seems to be the school. Loves the running back tradition. Loves how they always have 2 to 3 backs. Doesn't want to be a primary guy. He wants to be able to split carries so his body's fresh. When he gets to the league, that's his ultimate dream. Loves Georgia right now on top of the college football world, obviously. Then he loves Alabama. That was his most recent visit. And all the things I said about Georgia kind of apply to Bama. Always use multiple running backs. likes that power run game, likes Nick Saban, referred to him as the GOAT. And then obviously Oregon Ducks have been on him for a long time. He's got a teammate going there already, Jack Ressler. Oregon heavily involved with Brendan Baker. So I think those are the three schools that I would probably bet on right now if I had to. But if you have to kind of pin me down and pick just one, I kind of like where Georgia's at right now for Nate.
A swinging door, Greg, at Mater Dei. Coaches coming in left and right, and it's not going to be over, right? When these players announce their decisions, I'm sure they're going to be flooding through the gates there to get to some of these prospects until the ink is dry. Thank you so much for joining us to reset the board on some of the top players in Southern California. For all the coverage from Greg Biggins and everyone else on the National Recruiting Analyst team, make sure you stay locked into 24/7 Sports. We've got wall-to-wall coverage on your favorite college football team.